Hello, it's very nice to meet you. Thank you very much for your time. It's really an honor for me to have a conversation like this. So my question is, actually, it was an utterly amazing experience to see so many things around me have been changed in a better way when following your advice and practicing it, including the peace in me and my family. While doing so, I had one question. So aren't these what I've been doing for my happier life or the others' happier life? At the end of the day, all selfish acts. The fact that I want to help all sentient beings to enter nirvana, to practice the parameters, including donations, or to let go of all preconceived notions, such as form and permanence. Aren't these all ultimately for my own happiness? It seems like so selfish. Would it be okay to do all these things with selfish attention? Is this the awakening that Buddha wanted us to reach, or could it be contradictory to Buddha's teaching?
본인의 삶이 중요하다고 생각합니까? 별로 중요하지 않습니까?
Do you think your life is valuable or not so valuable?
Very much valuable, I think.
그러면 다른 사람들도 각자 다 자기 삶이 중요하다고 생각할 거 아닙니까?
Then it follows that everybody else respectfully think their lives are valuable.
That is true, yes.
그렇기 때문에 부처님은 다른 사람을 해치거나 손해 끼치거나 괴롭히지 말라고 한 거예요.
That's why Buddha taught that you should not hurt or damage others.
그러면 내가 다른 사람을 소중하게 여길 줄 알면서 자기를 소중하게 여겨야 할까요? 남은 소중하게 여기는데 자기는 함부로 해도 됩니까? 남을 소중하게 여기듯이 자기도 소중하게 여겨야 합니까?
Then doesn't it follow that since you consider others as, valuable and their lives important, that you should also consider your own life as important and valuable as well, right?
Yes. I need to think of myself valuable too.
근데 왜 남을 위해서 자기를 희생시키거나 괴롭혀야 한다고 생각해요?
Then why do you think you need to sacrifice yourself to help others?
Well, actually, my question is rather, I don't think I need to torture myself, but when following your advice, Buddha's teaching, when I'm merciful and kind to others, I cannot help but think I'm doing this because of my own happiness, not for them. And that sometimes bothers me.
그러니까 다른 사람을 도와주는 것이 나를 해치는 거라면, 다른 사람은 도와주되 나를 희생하는 거라면 나를 손해 끼치는 거지 않습니까? 근데 다른 사람도 도와주고 그것이 나를 위하는 길이라면 나도 좋고 남도 좋은 길인데 그게 왜 문제가 되는지, 왜 문제가 된다고 생각하는지, 그래서 자기를 해쳐도 되느냐고 내가 물어보는 거예요.
So the reason I asked that question is that, first of all, if you have to sacrifice or damage yourself to help others, that's not sustainable. That's not a good faith. That's not a good way to go. But the act of helping others and being kind to others is also actually, brings you joy. Then it's an action that brings others happiness as well as your happiness. So why is that a bad thing? So that's why I was asking that question.
세 가지 경우를 우리 한번 봅시다.
So let's take a look at 3 different cases.
내 이익을 위해서 남을 손해 끼치게 합니다.
First of all, so I cause damage to others, defraud others for my benefit.
나에게는 좋지만은 남에게는 손해입니다.
So it's good for me, but it's not good for the others.
이것을 우리는 나쁘다고 말합니다.
And we term this as quote unquote bad.
그러나 이렇게 되면 상대가 가만히 있지 않습니다.
But in this situation, the other will also react.
그는 자신의 이익을 얻기 위해서 나에게 손해를 끼칠 것입니다.
Because the other person also reacts by trying to damage you in order to restore his profit.
언젠가 나에게 그 손해가 돌아오게 됩니다.
So in a way, eventually, you'll be damaged as well by others that you have previously defrauded.
근데 그것은 나의 이익이 지속 가능하지 않다는 걸 말합니다.
So what this means is that, the profit or benefit that you attain through this strategy is not sustainable.
작은 이익을 취하고 많은 손실을 보게 됩니다.
It's in a way, the benefit you get is small compared to the eventual damage that you will suffer.
남을 기준으로 보면 나쁜 행위가 되고 나를 기준으로 보면 어리석은 행위, 바보 같은 행위가 됩니다.
So from my perspective, I have engaged in a foolish action. From the other perspective, looking back at me, I've been engaged in a bad action.
그래서 이런 것은 어리석은 행위니까 하지 말라는 거예요.
So that's why we say these are foolish acts that you should refrain from performing.
이번에는 남을 위해서 남의 이익을 위해서 내가 손해를 보는 겁니다.
The second case is that you kind of sacrifice yourself for others' benefits.
근데 이건 세상 사람부터 칭찬을 받습니다.
This actions actually you get praised by the world,
그러나 나는 고통스럽습니다.
but actually brings you suffering.
그러니 이거 오래 지속될 수는 없습니다.
And likewise, you can't sustain it for a long time.
언젠가 그만두게 됩니다.
You end up stopping.
특히 이럴 때 상대가 내 마음을 알아주면 그래도 괜찮은데 몰라주면 실망을 하게 됩니다.
Especially you develop a sense of entitlement for others to actually recognize your good deeds. And if you don't get that recognition, you actually get disappointed.
그래서 이것도 지속 가능하지가 못합니다.
That's why this is not a sustainable path either.
내가 소중하듯이 1번 내가 소중하듯이 상대도 소중하니 상대에게 손해를 끼치지 말라는 겁니다.
So the first path is that, just as I'm valuable, so, others consider themselves valuable, so let's not cause others damages.
두 번째는 남이 소중하듯이 나도 소중하니 나한테 피해를 끼치지 말라는 겁니다.
The second is that I'm as valuable as others as well, so let's not cause damage to myself.
이 둘은 다 지속 가능하지가 않습니다.
So neither of this path is sustainable.
그래서 지속 가능한 것은 무엇인가 하는 겁니다.
So what is then a sustainable path?
나에게도 이익이고 상대에게도 이익인 겁니다.
Something that benefits me as well as others.
나에게도 좋고 상대에게도 좋은 겁니다.
Something that is good for me and is good for you.
그럴 땐 누구도 손해를 끼치지 않습니다.
Then you don't cause loss to anybody here.
그러니까 이건 계속 지속 가능한 겁니다.
And it is therefore sustainable.
이것이 부다가 가르친 길입니다.
And this is the way of the Buddha.
그럼 어떤 것이 그렇게 될 수 있느냐?
Then what examples are there that can actually make this happen?
상대에게 도움을 줍니다.
So you help others.
근데 나를 희생한다고 생각한다면 이건 지속 가능하지 않습니다.
But in the act of helping others, if you think you're sacrificing or causing yourself loss in the action of helping others, then it's not sustainable.
근데 이게 곧 나를 위하는 길이라고 생각하면 나에게도 이익입니다.
But if you think that helping others is actually a way to help yourself, then it is sustainable.
그에게도 도움이 되고 나에게도 이익이 된다는 거예요.
Because it helps others and helps me.
그래서 이것은 지속 가능하다는 거예요.
That's why it can continue.
그러니까 남에게 손해를 끼치 말하는 것은 금기사항이고
So not causing others suffering or damages or loss is something that's prohibited.
남을 도와주라 하는 것은 선한 행위입니다.
Helping others is a good deed.
그러나 이건 윤리 수준이지 이것만 갖고는 수행이 되지 않습니다.
So these are kind of ethical precepts, right? But they don't actually enter into the world of practice.
왜냐하면 그 도와주는 것에서 나는 그 사람으로부터 뭔가 나를 희생했기 때문에 인사를 받고 싶고 이걸 몰라주면 내가 좀 억울한 생각이 됩니다.
Because in the act of helping others, you actually develop a sense of entitlement to want to be acknowledged for your help. And if you don't get it, you feel wronged.
그럼 괴로움입니다.
And that is suffering.
그래서 돕는 것이 곧 좋은 것이다는 거예요. 남을 돕는
So
것이
helping-
나에게 좋은 것이다.
So helping others should be something that's good for me as well.
그를 위하는데 초점이 있는 게 아니라 그것이 곧 나를 위하는 길이라고 자각할 때 여기에는 아무런 괴로움이 재발하지 않는다는 거예요.
So when you actually recognize that helping others is not for them, it's something that you're doing for yourself, then that equation does not produce any suffering.
그래서 이것이 좋음이 나쁨으로 윤회되는 그러한 고활하게 윤회하는 세계로부터 벗어난다, 해탈한다, 열반한다 이렇게 말하는 겁니다.
So that state is where you actually escape from that wheel of karma in which bad and good kind of alternates with each other because you're able to maintain the good consistently.
어떤 행위에 뒤에 찌꺼기가 남는데 이러한 행위는 뒤에 아무런 흔적이 남지 않는다. 그래서 이것을 무의, 아무런 흔적이 남지 않는 행위다 이렇게 말합니다.
And so these type of action are actually called 무의, basically empty intention, right? Because whatever the action whatever help you give does not leave behind any crumbs that can lead to other actions.
우리가 세상을 위하는 것이 곧 나를 위하는 것이다. 그렇기 때문에 우리는 아무런 기대를 할 필요가 없어요. 이것은 나를 위하는 하나의 행위라고 생각할 때 찌꺼기가 남지 않는다. 뭔가 아무런 괴로움이 발생하지 않는다. 이런 뜻입니다.
So helping others, and recognizing that helping others, helping the world is actually helping yourself, then you don't live beyond any emotional crumbs of entitlement in which you expect some recognition of rewards for your actions.
내가 산을 보고 즐거워하고 바다를 보고 즐거워하는데 그게 아무한테도 손해를 안 끼치잖아요.
For example, when you look at the hills, and it feels beautiful. If you look at the ocean, it's beautiful. The fact that you view this as beautiful is not causing anybody else loss or damage.
그럼 내가 행복하면 안 됩니까?
Then, why is it wrong for me to feel happy?
아무한테도 손해를 끼치거나 해를 끼치지 않는데 왜 그것이 잘못됐습니까?
Since I'm not causing anybody else loss or suffering, why is that wrong?
다른 사람은 괴로워하는데 나만 행복하면 그게 큰 죄가 됩니까?
Is it a sin for you to feel happy while you see others suffering?
Okay, thank you very much. Can I have a quick follow-up question? So then, thank you very much. I think now I understand better about this thing, but when I'm being merciful, kind to others, and that makes me happy, but at the same time, if I know and thinking that by doing this, I will benefit from it in the future because I'm being kind to others. If the fact that I think in that way, is it contradictory to Buddha's teaching, or would it be even okay? Even if I wouldn't be disappointed, even if I don't get any reward.
나에게 나중에 도움이 될 거다라고 하면 나중에 도움이 안 되면 실망할 거 아니에요.
But if you continue engaging these actions, knowing or sense, holding a sense of kind of expectation that it will actually give me good feelings or, it makes me happy. If that doesn't come about, wouldn't that lead to disappointment since you had that original expectation?
남을 도와주면 내가 천국에 갈 거다 했는데 죽어서 천국에 안 가면 어떡해요?
So if, same thing as if I do these good deeds, I'll end up in heaven. And after you die, you don't end up in heaven, then what?
그럼 나중에 실망할 거 아니에요.
Then you'll be disappointed, right?
실망이란 것은 괴로움이잖아요.
And disappointment is suffering.
그냥 그것이 그에게 좋은 것이 나에게도 좋다고 다만 지금 좋은 거지 할 뿐이지 이렇게 하면 앞으로 좋은 일이 생길 거야 하는 것은 기대를 갖고 있기 때문에 그것은 윤회의 씨앗을 심는 것이 됩니다.
Because, whatever you're doing for the others is beneficial to them, but it actually brings me, a sense of well-being as well. That's good, but it only applies to the here and now. But if you pre-plan some good deeds with the expectation that it will make you feel good again, then you're actually planting a seed of intention, which would lead crumbs of karma.
Thank you very much, Sunim. I think I just found the hope that I'll be able to solve these puzzles. Thank you.
네, 사람은 어떤 상황에서든 자유롭고 행복하게 살 권리가 있습니다.
So no matter what situation, a person has the right to live freely and happily.
또 행복하게 살 수도 있습니다.
And you could do so.
이것을 누구나 다 붓다가 될 수 있다고 말하는 것입니다.
And in other words, everybody can be a Buddha.